morning. Welcome back to Ario What's Next. This is what the video is going to be about. A pair of rusted out shit frickin' side cutters. My dad was tilling his garden and the tiller kicked these up out of the ground. Probably should just throw them in the steel bin and forget about them. But I have some rust remover. I want to see how well it actually works on something this goddamn rusty and see if we can restore this back to life. Plus it's content, because it's a motherfucker to come up with content every single goddamn week. So what we're gonna do with this first, we gotta cut these handles off. Not the whole handle, we gotta cut the rubber coating off of them. Cut the whole handle off, that'd have been just stupid as shit. Let's see if I can do this without eviscerating myself. And that would be time for a new blade in my little X-Acto. All right, so the rubber coating's off. We're gonna dump that in a bucket. Now, this is Evap-O Rust Super Safe Rust Remover. It is a completely non-toxic, environmentally friendly, blah, 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 whatever. You could probably get away with drinking this and not killing yourself. Don't fucking do it, because you're an idiot if you do. Now this stuff apparently is supposed to, within hours, just dissolve the rust off. Now I used it on another item, another video, a curry comb, and I didn't just leave it in there for hours. I left it in there for a freaking week, and yeah, there was not a bit of goddamn rust left on it. So I will probably do the same thing with these, because they are so rusty. With this stuff as well, once we're done, and this is ate all the rust off of these wire cutters, side cutters, get a funnel, pour it back in, reseal it. This stuff's completely freaking reusable. This is not sponsored content, but that's all right. I'm just gonna pour this in. So them wire cutters are completely submerged. And we're gonna take this and we're gonna set it on the shelf. And we'll get back to that in about a week. I'll see you in a week. All right. So our side cutters have been sitting in our rust remover for a week now. I think it's been a week. At least 6 days. Now the container says it's, just hours is all that it requires. Could be, 1 to 12 hours depending on how rusty it is. But these have been buried underground for who knows how many years, and they were basically a solid block of rust. Because they've been buried underground for so long, they probably should have just been thrown in the steel bin, like I said before. Now this stuff has a really nice black patina to it. All right. So here we go. That's what we're looking at. You can actually see the pivot point now. Oh, look at that. We're going to be able to save these guys. Look at, a week is sitting in that non-toxic rust remover. So let's go ahead and we will drain and siphon this back off. That'll go in there. That'll go in there. I use this because it's got a nice fine particulate screen in there. So any of that shit that freaking just cooked off of this guy, we'll catch it and we'll be down to just never in a million years would I have expected a 100% non-toxic, completely biodegradable item such as this to work so fucking good. All right, now that we've got this guy working rather well, what we're going to do now is we're going to spray it with some penetrating oil. And we're going to let the penetrating oil do its work to finish off this hinge to where this thing will open and close really well. So I just got a cup. I got a big thing of PB Blaster. WD-40 will work. Any sort of freaking penetrating oil will work. I really like PB Blaster. It fucking works really good. And we're just going to soak the living shit out of this thing. And we will let it sit probably till tomorrow. What we're going to do is we're going to block this up to where that hinge is sitting in there completely submerged in penetrating oil. So I'm just going to set this over on the bench with it blocked up some. All right, now we wait till tomorrow and then we can start cleaning and polishing that thing. Okay, so this spent the night soaking in a little pool of PB Blaster penetrating oil. Moves freaking perfect. I got my Dremel and I have my cheap friggin' Dremel bit set. It's not a Dremel set. I don't know who fucking manufactured it. Work Pro 276 piece thing I got off of Amazon for, I don't know, 20 bucks, 25 bucks probably tops. And it's got all kinds of good shit in here, but you know, it's inexpensive stuff. I don't know exactly how to start. I think we're just going to start with an 80 grit sandpaper wheel and see what it does. I don't know. I've never tried restoring something quite like this. Woo! Get my friggin' safety glasses. I just got hit in the pupil. That was stupid. And all right, let's try that again. Here is where we're at with this thing. We have it pretty well pit free. There are some pits and that down inside of here that I just couldn't quite get out. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna work on trying to put an edge onto this thing. We don't have to get stupid sharp. We don't need to worry about trying to shave with it, because how the fuck are you gonna shave with that? But we need it sharp enough to where it can easily cut through wire. And then once we get a little bit of an edge on there to where it's all working really good, then we'll polish it, and then we'll dip the handle, and we're gonna put a nice coating on the handle. Just got these little stones. Focus on that. These little stones right here. And I just kept grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding until I got pretty much 99% of all the pits out of it. Got a relatively decent shine on it. Once I got everything ground down, then I hit it again with the sandpaper and removed a lot of the imperfections left by the stone and got it to this point. Then I've got some sanding sticks. I just took some sandpaper and glued them to a couple of boards. I got 150, 220, 320 and 400. We'll use that to try and polish it up some more. But right now, let's work on trying to put an edge on this thing so it'll actually cut. If you can't get it to cut, then it ain't worth fucking having. We'll just open that thing up as far as it'll go. And then I just got a file, and we're just gonna work this edge with a file. We need to put a slight bevel on this back side and then really bevel the inside. All right, I think we got a good enough edge on there. I got some speaker wire here. Let's see how well it cuts. Pretty good. I would imagine these are just cheap Chinese made freaking wire cutters. Yeah, we're not gonna spend all day trying to put a razor edge on here. It just did exactly what it needed to do. It cut wire. Cuts it quite well. So now what we got to do is get a beer. All right, now we got a beer. Set that over there. We're going to see about trying to polish this up, make it somewhat, I don't know, shiny, chromy. So I got, my 150 is about freaking shot. I'm gonna get me another strip of 150. All right, we got her sanded up through 600 grit. So it's got pretty nice polish to it right now. I'm gonna take some buffing compound on the Dremel and see if we can't make this like a mirror finish. I don't know, we'll see. Just got a little foamy buffing pad on here. I got some green buffing compound. Let's see what it does. All right, I got one face done. Let's clean that off. A little bit of brake clean. Yeah, it's looking. Do a little bit more work to it here. All right, so it's not exactly a complete mirror finish, but it's pretty goddamn close, especially considering that it was buried under the ground for years. I am going to call that part of it done. So now we got to turn our attention to the handle portion, and we're going to dip it. What I got is Plastidip. It's just freaking liquid rubber. We're going to dip it in there. I got to find something to hang it with, and I think we'll probably move this outside because according to the can, this stuff has extremely flammable vapors, and I really don't want to flash fire in my shop. So I got to find something to hang this with. We got to wrap a wire around here, and then we can lower it down and hook it on something. So let me dig some shit up and we'll move outside. All right, so I got Plastidip. We're outside. It's basically you just lower the handle down in there to the depth that you want, hang it, let it dry for about 30 minutes, do another dip, and you do that until you get to the thickness that you want. So never used this stuff before. Do I have to shake this shit, or is it freaking okay? You got to stir it. So I got a good stir stick. All right, there we go. I did 3 coats of the Plastidip on the handle. I think the only thing I got left to do now, a little bit of 3-in-1 oil, and we're going to put an extremely small drop. And we're also going to use that 3-in-1 oil, that little tiny drop. We're going to rub the metal down with it. The 3-in-1 oil will go down into that hinge and keep it freaking moving, and then rubbing the metal down with that tiny little bit will keep it from freaking rusting. And you don't really need to leave much residue on there. We can just wipe that off. A little bit of freaking, that'll help keep it from freaking rusting. So there we go. A pair of side cutters that I would imagine if you were at your local parts store, hardware store, or whatever, they probably have this in the express aisle as you're walking through the checkout. It's like $5. These are probably cheap as shit. They're not Matco, they're not Snap-on, they're not Mac, they're not even Craftsman, DeWalt, or anything like that. I virtually guarantee that. These are probably $5, $6 wire cutters. Was it worth restoring? No, monetarily, probably not. It's probably a complete fucking waste of my time. The Plastidip, you know, was $10, $11. Probably twice as much as what these things cost brand new. But this was cool. This was fun. It was so interesting to see that complete block of frickin' rust. Dumped it in that rust remover, and when I came out the next week and the jaws opened, it's like, holy shit, that's awesome. Now I'm gonna go to town on this thing. Something buried in the ground. Now I've got it's not quite mirror, but really freaking nice shiny surface. It's got nice handles. It cuts wire nicely. I went out and I cut some actual heavy gauge fencing wire. It sliced through that relatively nice. Yeah, these are now a usable tool after being buried in the ground for who knows how long. So that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe. Hit that like button. Definitely hit that like button. I need the like button freaking smashed. Nobody ever does that. You know, some of my videos had, you know, 17, 18,000 freaking views and like 20 likes. It's like, if you're gonna watch it, just hit the fucking button. It's not that big a deal. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.